And I want to thank each and every one of you for making time today to be with me. My name is Sharon Parento. I'm a realtor who specializes, at least initially, in the downsizing market. These are people who have lived in my neighborhood here in Richmond Hill for 20, 30, 40 years, sometimes even longer. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about the downsizing process, and also particularly about condos. So we developed this originally in person. People would clamber into my minivan, we'd go around, and maybe at best we'd be able to see 5 or 6 condos in a particular location. But by doing this on Zoom, we get a chance to see a lot more variety. So that is my purpose here. I'm not here to sell you a particular property. That's not the purpose, but to give you an overview at a high level of the market as it currently exists. There's lots of questions about what is going on in real estate right now. It's very, very specific to the property, the neighborhood, the price category, all of that. But I'm happy to answer those kinds of questions if I can. So we started S.M.A.R.T Realty Solutions to service predominantly the 55 plus downsizing market, but an interesting new sideline has come to my business, which is working with first-time buyers. So that could be first-time buyers as in leaving the nest, or former renters, or it could be first time and a long time buyer. So either way, I work as a consultant, treating you as my clients far before we actually do anything together. And that's part of the reason for this presentation today, giving you kind of a consultant's eye view as to what real estate means in this condo space. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to just move into a reminder that all of these are condos. Like, you might have thought you were signing up for something, condo apartments. And yes, you know, that is a large segment of what we typically buy for our clients, but all of these properties here are condos of a particular nature. And I'm going to give you this high level overview of what the condo can mean for you, the strengths, the weaknesses of purchasing a condo. And then at the end, I'm going to follow up with your questions. And in a couple of days, you'll get an email with a guidebook that I've written called Condo Considerations, where it's going to answer some of your other questions. Okay, so a condominium, first and foremost, is a type of ownership. It's not a building style. It is the type of ownership where you own a unit, but it's part of a larger common area that is held by a corporation, and you pay a representative share of the costs of running that larger kind of infrastructure. So this condo high rise on the left is what many people think of, but there's also condo townhouses and these new stacked townhouses that you see everywhere. And then another particular property type called a leasehold. And we're going to get into that as well. So when you work every day, like I do, with these MLS sheets, you're aware that they are filled with information. But if you were to ask me to send you MLS listings, there's a lot of information you might miss. So part of the information that I'm going to provide to you is how to mine these MLS sheets for information to be able to either rule in a property, yes, this is a contender, or perhaps to rule it out. And also, very importantly, to make sure that you are comparing accurately apples to apples in terms of costs, taxes, all of the things that we can leverage from this sheet. So I strongly believe that knowledge is power. And so I want to empower you as you look for condos on your own. So we are going to look at just the basic financials, where to find things like the list price. Now, everything right now in real estate is doing a bit of a shift. And so what we were seeing was that list prices were artificially low. So say they wanted to achieve $660 for this condo, they would list it at $5.99 or $5.49 to create a big amount of interest. And you couldn't really trust that the list price was what you're going to pay. Part of my job working with buyers is to negotiate them the lowest price. But when the expectation is that it's going to sell over asking, everybody is left a little bit confused. So I want to bring clarity to that process for you, and we'll have a better understanding as we move forward. So the list price is the starting number that we have to work with. And you're likely going to be looking at properties in a range. So that's an important number, obviously. The next one will be property taxes. If you are a first-time buyer, you may not factor this into your budgeting, but you're going to have to put aside some money every month for your property taxes. And on the other hand, if you're watching this as a potential downsizer, you are going to be so pleased with the amount of money you can count on saving from the property taxes you're likely paying on a detached home in York Region. So there's some savings to be realized, but either way, these are two numbers that really have to be considered in your budget. And of course, the maintenance fees. This is a hard pill for many people to swallow. And I have to really reassure you that this example here of $1,000 a month is not typical. It really depends and varies greatly by the property size, the amenities, the age of the building. There's a lot of variation, and I'm going to show you some low cost maintenance options that I'm sure you don't know about, because they're kind of hidden gems. Okay, so but when we are looking at maintenance fees, we want to know what's included. If it's $700, but you pay all of your own utilities, or there's some other costs associated, well, maybe it's not such a bad deal. And let me just say, there is no right or wrong answer here. I'm not prescribing you a course of action. Simply want to give you the information so that you can see what resonates best for you. For some people, one maintenance fee payment a month is better than writing out a whole bunch of other little checks or whatever. So they could find that paying all-inclusive maintenance is preferable for convenience and bookkeeping, and also for budgeting, that you know exactly what your fixed costs are. So when you're comparing the fees, make sure you know what's included, what amenities are you paying for, because you're paying for them even if you don't use them. In the book that I'll be sending you that I wrote called Condo Considerations, it's like I liken it to a vertical village where everybody is living in and people are being paid to take care of it for you. So you want to know what you're paying for. So now some other things that you can share with me in your condo search will be how many bedrooms and how many washrooms. These are some lifestyle choices that maybe you know that you only need a 1+1, or maybe you need fully 2 separate full washrooms. So the number of pieces refers to sink, toilet, shower, bathtub, maybe there's 2 sinks, all of that kind of thing. Okay, and if you see a +1, that usually designates that there is a den of some sort. And I have to tell you, what some of the new construction calls a den is sometimes a little more than a large nook, but it's some unassigned room that doesn't have a closet, usually doesn't have window. So it's some other, utility being suggested there, a den, it could be an office. And yes, many people do convert them to like a spare bedroom, whatever. So then we also want to think of the parking. Is it underground? Is it surface? Is there 1? Is there 2? And if there is only 1, but you need 2, is there an option to privately rent another space, or even perhaps purchase another space? So these are all considerations on your journey. Now, of course, it's also going to be up to you how much space you think you need. And you'll see that there's a range. That's a big range, 1,400 to 1,599. That makes a big difference. So we really have to look a little deeper to find out what the actual size is. Why do they report it this way? That's a good question. Well, maybe it's because, well, I know for sure it's because on the MLS form that you fill out as a realtor listing a property, it's a drop-down menu with a range. There isn't a specific place to add the square footage unless you are going to do it in the comments or somewhere else on the form. So if you're looking at apples to apples, i.e. the same building, when we look at the maintenance fees, because partly it is calculated on the size of the unit, if we are looking in the same apartment building, we can check the relative size of the property by looking at the maintenance fees. So if the maintenance fees in one unit are $100 more a month than another unit, but they are reporting that they're the same size, we can tell the one with the higher fees is actually a larger unit. But again, more investigation, a little bit more digging can be done. So now this is where we really get into the realm of personal preference. Let me just remind you, there's no right or wrong, it's what suits you. So for example, what story do you want to be on? I'm going to show you a penthouse suite today, and I'm also going to show you a ground floor suite today. And there are advantages and disadvantages to everything. And there's even things that you can consider, like looking at the pictures of the lobby inside. You'll see that there are 40 pictures in a gallery here. You're only looking at one, but there's a lot more information, and you can kind of derive from those pictures a sense of the style or the luxury of that property and whether it suits your overall wants and needs. So what about exposure? Some people are very specific that they want to have a lot of natural light, in which case we're looking for an east or a west, maybe not a north exposure. But again, no right or wrong. And then the client comments are what has been written by the realtor to market the property, give you its benefits, the nice maybe flooring or the upgraded appliances, or just kind of giving you the blurb of what to expect in this property. And then the extras are everything that, back it up, has been included in the property. Now, these are some information pieces that only a realtor can tell you about. We have to access the back information of this listing on a separate form, and it's going to be things like days on market. This can really benefit you right now because there are properties on the market now for 40, 50, 60 days. And you got to imagine that if they've been on the market for more than, say, 3 weeks, there could be an opportunity there to bargain for a better price, right? So these are the things that I like to use to lever a better deal for my clients. The name of the seller is also included. Those won't be on the MLS sheets you see, but it can also be valuable information if it's an estate sale or if it's a bank takeover. Those have a different motivation behind them for selling than somebody who is moving up, let's say, and needs a private seller who absolutely needs to have kind of a baseline to expense the next property. So all of these things kind of meld together as information that I can use to help you get a good deal. So one of the things that we just talked about is the shift away from what we were calling bidding wars, where there is a specific offer date. We're only looking at offers as of July the 1st, let's pretend, and everybody else who wants to put an offer in has to wait till July the 1st. They all come in at once, and then we're dealing with multiple offers, and we're trying to create an auction house type of situation. Well, of the 10 properties that I've chosen for you today, only one of them is still hanging on to this strategy. So that means in most cases of what you're going to see today, the price that is listed is likely the highest that the seller is expecting. And my goal as the buyer's agent is to try to get as low as possible. And their goal when they're selling is, of course, to try to get the most possible. Okay, so there's a few little, I'm pulling back the curtain a little bit on what we do as buyers agents for our clients, always looking for information, always looking for a way to create the best outcome for you. Okay, so this is an MLS sheet as it comes to you. It comes to me with the full, there's the name of the seller. We've got a change in the status to the status being sold conditionally. Here is the information from brokerage to brokerage, offers any time. Those are the kinds of details I'm looking for. Okay, so every property that I am presenting to you today is a representative sample. Again, these are not necessarily best in class. They're not the most expensive. They're not the least expensive. They are a representative sampling. There are condos for sale for as little as $400,000 all the way up to multiple millions. So you can see, I really had my work cut out for me picking and choosing from the different types. But let's get started. So this is one of the properties that I chose specifically to debunk the myth that maintenance fees are sky high. This particular building is at Markham Road and 14th, and it's called the Green Life Building, and there are several of them, and they have been specifically designed to be eco-friendly. And what's unusual about this property is that even though it's a very large condo, the maintenance is only $278 a month. That's because things are quite basic. They are nice, they are clean, they are maintained, but it's not super fancy inside. However, many of these units have been updated and upgraded, like this one here. So this is 3 bedrooms, 2 washrooms. It's approximately somewhere in that 1,200 to 1,400 square foot size. So that's a really good size. You can see the property taxes there, and it's in a great location in Markham. Just coincidentally, I meant to choose properties that were all over the place, but it seems like I have a disproportionate number of Markham properties today. But again, there are condos for sale right now, typical mid-rise condo, but what is not typical is the low maintenance fees. So if this is something that sticks in your craw, that you just cannot see your way clear to, $1,000 a month for maintenance, well then here is an alternative. I've chosen the pictures to highlight and give you an idea of what the 3 bedrooms are like. The two secondary bedrooms are not that, none of those bedrooms are super large, but what I love is this kitchen. They've updated it. They've put on quartz countertops, really nice backsplash. That door to past the appliances there is a pantry. They have a little balcony, not huge, but for some people it's more show than actually functionality. So we will send you this presentation, and if you want to have a closer look at this, you can click on the link to the virtual tour there, and it'll show you the building and a bit more of the insides and interior that we don't have time for. So again, I chose this as an example of a condo apartment with low maintenance fees, and they exist. So good to know. Yes, thumbs up. Don't forget, there's an opportunity to ask questions at the end, okay? So there's the MLS sheet. You can tell it's been on the market for 16 days, $6.99. Price per square foot is around $500 a square foot. That is such a good deal, and great opportunity there. 1 underground parking. Now, this is moving up a little in the price scale. So I wanted to show you something that was very economical. This one is a little bit more luxurious, definitely a higher price. So even though it's listed at a low price, this is one of those hangers on that is only accepting offers as of today. When I looked at the history of this property, it had been previously listed at $200,000 more. So that's kind of giving you some insight as to their expectation. So it's about 1,000 square feet with the 2 bedrooms, 2 washrooms. But the reason I chose this is that it's a great example of a penthouse. And in this case, a lower penthouse, but it has a lot of the features of a penthouse. Not in every building does a penthouse mean a larger unit. In this case, the primary benefit of being in one of the lower penthouses is that we have 10-foot ceilings and this huge terrace. This balcony here belongs to this unit. So if outdoor space is something you're really questioning, how do I do my container planting? How do I get outside to have my own private space where I'm not looking at my neighbors, they're not looking at me? This is the kind of property you can consider. So again, it's in Markham. Property taxes are, reasonable. Maintenance is a little higher, but again, this is a more luxurious building. There are 2 parking spots. Did you know that your maintenance goes up a little bit for having that second spot? It does, maybe $30 to $50, depending on the building. But this is quite nice inside. Let me just find my way to my pointer. So you see that deck outside. It's got an open concept and what we call a split layout. So we have the center area, which is open concept, living, dining, kitchen, and then we have a bedroom on either side of that. So there's no wasted space. And with the tall ceilings and the panoramic windows looking out onto that terrace, this unit, I can tell you, would feel much larger, more spacious because of that particular layout. Okay, so in the new construction buildings like this one, we do have a great economy of space. So even though you're saying to yourself, it's only 1,000 square feet, really, I bet you if you and I were to see this together, you would find it to be open and ample and airy, because the rooms where they have really kind of quote unquote spent the space is the middle area here. Maybe the bedrooms are a little tighter, a little narrower, but overall, where you spend the majority of your time would be pleasant and open and airy. So love the amount of natural light this unit has in it. That can be really nice. And the advantage of being up tall is that you're away from any road noise. You get panoramic views, it's nice and quiet. It's a terrace you could actually use because you're not, competing with street noise or traffic or any of that. Okay, so great option, great opportunity. We'll see. I'd love to know what this actually sells for and if it sells today. We're seeing that is also happening, where there's a date for offers and they don't receive any offers or any acceptable offers, and then it's relisted tomorrow. So I'm going to keep my eyes open for this one to see what it actually sells for. Great option there. There's the property days on market, but as I mentioned to you, it had been previously listed at a higher price for, I think, about 15 days. Okie doke. So moving on, this is where the locker is shown. This is where there are 2 parking spots, and interesting, they are side by side. Sometimes the parking spots are not side by side. So that's something to consider as well. Oh, this is one of my favorite buildings. And this is Stollery Pond. It's the Angus Glen development on 16th Avenue near Markham Road. Or is that Major Mac? Anyway, oh my goodness, it is so beautiful inside. I fell in love with this building when it first became available about 4 years ago. I have sold a couple of my downsizers into this building because it is like living in a boutique condo hotel. It is so beautiful. Natural stone, natural hardwood, and the fit and finish everywhere is just unparalleled. It's gorgeous. Property taxes are a little higher, maintenance reasonable, but it doesn't include any of your utilities. And this is the coveted 2+1. So again, remember, it's 2 bedrooms plus this other unassigned room, which is typically referred to as a den. So What I really like about this building, as I said, is also the luxury, but this unit, it's the opposite. I just showed you a penthouse. Now here is a ground floor unit. Perfect for, you know, getting out there with your patio set. You'll be able to walk out from the living room. You're overlooking the golf course here. Whether or not you play golf, one of my clients did, one of my clients didn't. It doesn't matter. It's a beautiful, unchanging vista. You're looking at this green belt that it will never change. There's a little stream you can hear from my other client's unit. But just think, if you had a pet, like a small dog, and you were wondering, how do I adapt to condo living with, you know, Mr. Fluffy or whatever his name is? Now, does this not make perfect sense? Or you've got grandkids and, you know, when they come over to visit, you need to let them run off some energy. This is beautiful. This is exactly right for this application. So being on a ground floor has a lot of advantages. I would have no safety considerations. This is a fenced property. It's not like you've got people walking off the street. You've got a golf course behind you. I would have no issue with living on a ground floor, but I do know that sometimes people say they don't want to be on a ground floor, depending on what side of the building you're on. If you were on the other side of the building, you would be at the public parking, and that's not a very pleasant view, is it? So in some particular buildings, you could say to me, I only want to be on the south side because that has the better views. I don't want to be on the street side. So these are all things to kind of gnash out, and there, again, no right or wrong, just what suits your preferences. Okay, so a luxury building, a luxury unit. I can show this with such pride. There's absolutely nothing scrimped or saved here. It's a wonderful building with a very nice, quiet residence population. Very few rentals in this building too. Okay, so moving right along, there's the property taxes, the MLS sheet shows you everything. And it says in the blurb, over $100,000 in builder upgrades. I believe it because the builders give you basic everything. So now this is totally different. That's how they say Monty Python. Now for something totally different. If you are under 55, I apologize, but this is just a property option I had to share with you because so few people know about it. And that is a life lease. This happens to be in Unionville, but I know of them all around. There's one in Aurora that I know about and have had clients move into. There's one up in Georgetown that I've had other clients move into. And what do you notice about the price? This is a 2-bedroom, up to 1,200 square foot unit, and it's listed at $488,000. Well, why is that? Because you don't actually own this unit in the same way that you would own another condo. You own, I guess, what you could liken to a timeshare. So you get to live here. It's an occupancy agreement, and you are paying $488,000 for this. And at the end of your time in Wyndham Gardens or one of these other life lease properties, there is a residual value to the property that can be cashed out for you or your heirs, however that works. So they really are designed for people who are looking for a hybrid between independent living and something in a more like a retirement community. Okay, so there are services on site, including a dining room, but you can see you've got a full kitchen too. So you don't have to go down and share meals. This is really something that straddles the line between full ownership and full independence, and something more along like a lease in a retirement community. But notice this, you've got some higher maintenance fees, again, location, size, all of those things, but no property taxes. You don't have any property taxes because you don't own any property, okay? So Great option. Just wanted to show it to you. You are allowed to update them. It has carpet. It has kind of, looks a little tired. Some of the color choices are a little dowdy. Can you change that? Absolutely. You can change that. But like in most condos, if you're doing something of a more structural nature, or, you know, beyond just paint and new fixtures, if you're actually pulling things out, you do need to get permission from the condo board. But my experience with the condo boards is that they are very happy to allow that to happen, because it increases the overall resale value of the unit. I've never had anybody have their plans kiboshed by a condo board for those kinds of things. But again, this is a ground floor unit, so you have a private patio, and at $488,000, this has a lot of potential for the right buyer. Not everyone is interested in these, so they do tend to take a little longer to resell, but overall, they can be a viable option depending on your age and stage. Okay, so there it is in Unionville. Now we get into this other brand of condo that I've been talking about, and that is condo townhouses. And they come in all kinds of different iterations, but they share one thing in common. There is a common area that you pay towards the maintenance of. Now, each one of them, it's going to be individual what is covered in your condo fees. Now, this particular one, I know for sure that it's maintaining the underground parking. Yes, you have underground parking. The common areas, I've been to this development, there is a little play structure, and there's also water included, but the rest of your utilities are individually metered. So you only pay for the gas and electricity that you use. Do you notice though that it's been on the market 51 days? We are gradually seeing days on market creep up again. And when there is competition in the condo complex, people are looking for the best deal, obviously. So for right now, what we see here is this is a stacked condo townhouse, which we see everywhere being developed. And there are at least 2 units, sometimes 3, but usually 2 units stacked on top of each other. Believe it or not, this little set of windows here is one of the units. So it's like the equivalent of a basement apartment almost, but they sell for much less money and no stairs. This one, regrettably, is all stairs. The very first thing you do when you open up this door here is you go up a set of stairs, and that takes you to this main living area here. To get to your bedrooms, you go up another set of stairs, and there are 3 bedrooms, 2 washrooms. Then, depending on the unit, the model, the layout, this is a balcony off the living room. You can see that here. And then upstairs on the 3rd floor, there is a small little reception area, not even really a room, a utility closet that has your furnace and your hot water tank, and then you have a rooftop balcony. So if your #1 goal is to avoid yard work, but still own a multi-level dwelling, then this is a great option. However, if you are thinking about downsizing to avoid stairs, this is a terrible option. But I really think that who these are being built for is the missing middle. People who have been in a condo apartment and can't quite make the jump financially to a detached. This is a great kind of missing middle. And as you can see, they're extremely popular. They're being built everywhere. And they have underground parking per unit. Okay, so I know you've been curious about them. You see them everywhere. What do they look like? Why are they so tall and narrow? Well, this is your answer here, because there's 2 units, at least 2 units stacked on each other. And that's why they called them stacked townhouses. Okay, so that's what they look like. As I mentioned here, this is 1 unit here. This might be another unit here. And I think what we were looking at was these 2 floors plus the terrace up here. So different configuration, but you'll notice that we have this low maintenance fee, and the price per square foot is about the same as what we've been seeing in some of the other condo apartments. Okay, you didn't know maybe what they look like, now you do. So here's another version, but it has a super low purchase price. Number one, the whole complex isn't quite as nice, but it's interesting. It has a flipped floor plan. You enter in this door here into your main living area, which I'll show you now. Living room, kitchen, galley kitchen, there's a little dining area, and you go downstairs to the bedrooms. So they've done their best to keep large-ish windows, but it's kind of an interesting thing because this is where you're also going to enter from your underground parking. There's a laundry room downstairs, all of that. But what's really super interesting is that it's flipped. So the place where you spend the most time is your main floor. And those are going to be above grade and with lots of good windows, lots of natural light, spacious, open concept, as you can see here from the floor plan. And the place where you sleep at night is down below. So in case you didn't know these existed, now you do. And there is the virtual tour link if you are so inclined. Okay, so not a great looking exterior picture, but I bet you any money this is going to be one of those properties that looks way better than in real life than it looks online. You know, sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes the pictures are so glamorous and wonderful and you go to see it and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so small. But I think this actually is a really great alternative to a condo for a first-time buyer. Really super idea here. I like this. I would recommend this to a first-time buyer without hesitation. Now, for those of you who like the idea of a townhouse but do not like this stacked option, you're looking for something that looks more traditionally like a home, here is something for you. It's hard to believe that they make a condo townhouse this small because it's only 1,000 square feet, but it does have a basement, which adds additional living space. And I think even more importantly, additional storage space. So this is an end unit. It's going to feel more like a semi because you don't have any side neighbors. You've got some extra windows here that the more interior units wouldn't have. The maintenance is a little high, but when I look at a property like this, where all the garage doors are the same, the roof and everything is the same, it makes me think that probably replacing of these elements is included. We wouldn't know until we got more information on it, but when you see that price and you see the continuity of style on the exterior, it makes me think that roof, windows, garage, paving might be included. But at the very least, snow removal, grass cutting, those things. Water, I believe, is also included. So there's a third bedroom in the basement. Could also be a storage, it could be used for storage, it could be a work from home space, it could be a second TV area. But you see that the main floor as you enter in the front door is open concept, light and bright, exactly what we're looking for. And we've got 2 bedrooms upstairs, the 3rd bedroom downstairs, a nice upgraded bathroom that is an ensuite from the master. And then we've got this little fenced in private backyard. So if you're like me and you cannot seriously consider living without a barbecue, or if you've got that little pet and you just don't see yourself going up and down on the elevators with it, this is a great option. And again, at a price that may surprise you. So I hope you are pleased with the selection. Again, I want to make sure that you remember that I welcome your questions either now or after our presentation, okay? I really think townhouses are a little bit underrated as an option for those of us who are maybe looking to downsize, but still active, still able to kind of manage some level of home maintenance, but we just don't want the big yard or the big snow shoveling to deal with. So it really is what's right for your lifestyle. And my job today, as I've said, is really just to try to present you with as many options as possible, things that I'm hoping you didn't know existed. Okay, so there it is. This is in Newmarket, $724. So this is cheaper than the equivalent size of a condo, pretty much, you know, in Markham, Richmond Hill. So in general, when you're in the GTA, the further north you go, the better price for a buyer you can expect. So if you're wondering what it might be like, I actually have clients who live right around the corner on a side street from this, and it's a really nice little enclave. And there's several of them. They're not huge developments. There's maybe, I think, maybe 20 or so of these on a little set of side streets and cul-de-sacs. So I'm happy to show that to you in person, should you choose. So what a great value, huh? What a great option. 2 bedrooms plus 1 extra, perfect for a couple, perfect for downsizers. Now, this is really, again, geared to my downsizing friends in the audience here today. And this is in one of my favorite developments. I definitely aspire to end up here one day, and that is Swan Lake. And again, I don't know, just randomly speaking, this is another Markham property, but when we look at this property, it is the best of independent, private home living, but with none of the maintenance. It's a bungalow. Look at this, it's huge. It's huge. Wait till you see the interior principal rooms. And the thing that you get with this property is this loft. The main floor has all of your primary living spaces, living room, kitchen. You've got the solarium out here that has some skylights in it. The main bedroom is on this main floor, but then you have this, there's actually 2 bedrooms on the main floor. One of them is frequently turned into a den, but then you have this loft, which is big, open to the floor below, but it has a bathroom and a closet up there. So it could definitely be a guest bedroom. It could be a bedroom, God forbid, but if you needed live-in care, it could be that. And I'm going to tell you, the amenities are first rate. It's like living at a resort all year round. And yes, the maintenance fees are a little higher, but if you saw how well this place is maintained, it's really a joy to live there, to walk around, to see the beautiful gardens, the landscaping, lots of activities, social groups. Okay, so I don't want to belabor my love of Swan Lake, but I do think that for the right person who's looking to be part of a community, this can definitely be an opportunity. So it was on the market for 5 days in total. I checked the history. It was only listed the once. And it actually sold last night, okay? So these things still are happening, even though it was offers anytime. Well, the offer came in, and do you know how much it sold for? Drum roll, please. Just slightly under asking, $1,060,000. So I know not everybody's in the market for $1 million condo bungalow, but for those of you who are, just a drive through that community will confirm that it's the right decision for many of you. Okay, so there is a occupation restriction of 2 adults. So that means it isn't really appropriate. They don't stop you from coming in if you're younger, but you can't have any kids living with you. So that kind of rules out families with younger children. Okay, so that's an interesting option as well. Okay, so I think this is the last of the properties I'm going to be showing to you. And in case this, I'm sorry, it's a blurry picture. I did my best. But in case you're thinking, do condo detached, or in this case, semi-detached exist? And yes, they do. Surprise. We actually have, where I am in Richmond Hill, we do have some detached condos. but they're rare. They don't come up very often. But in case you were wondering, how do we get the best bang for the buck price-wise? It's something like this. Now, this is, again, 3 stories. It's a semi-detached. It's got a private washroom, a private garage and a separate entrance. So it is like living in your own little house. It's had some upgrades throughout it, especially the washrooms. Those are really super nice. And it's got a walkout from the basement. This area here with the underneath the deck is where the laundry and storage is. And the main living is done on the top 2 levels. Okay, so it's just, again, a representative example of a condo that is not an apartment. Kind of unfortunate staging here. I guess they didn't come to my staging secrets on a shoestring budget. But regardless, I want you to see past their particular style to see the value that can be achieved here when you think outside the box, literally outside the box. Okay, so there it is in Markham, Thornhill, $900,000 for perhaps as much as 1,800 square feet, low maintenance fees, basically just takes care of the outside, and there you go. So anything that was required maintenance-wise of the property is likely on the owners. Okay, so that is the selection of properties I've chosen for you. I just want to let you know what's coming your way after today, and also leave room for any comments in the chat box or questions. So I'm going to be sending you this guidebook that I wrote, and it has some graphics in it, a chart, a flow chart to help you with how to purchase a condo. It's different than purchasing a detached home for sure. And if you have any questions, I would really encourage you to reach out to me either now or after our presentation. So I'll be sending this to you in a couple of days. So that's one follow-up value I hope to add to your life. And then if you are in the position of selling a home in order to purchase a condo, if you are a downsizer, or if you would like to go from a condo apartment into something larger, like a condo townhouse, I always want you to know that I'm just a call away for your property evaluation. It's such an important question. How can you know how much you have to spend if you don't know what you're working with? So there's no obligation. I'm going to send you something that shows what has sold, what the trends are for your neighborhood, and give you some suggestions, if you'd like to, how you can increase the resale value. Okay, so that's a free offer for you as well. Any questions, please unmute if you feel more comfortable, or type them into the chat box, and we'll make sure we get to those next. Okay, so that's what a property evaluation will look like. It's a report with everything that is sold and price per square foot, days on market, etc.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
How are you doing? My name is Keyshawn.
Hi, Keyshawn. Nice to meet you.
And nice to meet you too. That was an awesome presentation. I just had one to let you know that.
Thank you.
A quick question I want to ask: is there any way we can stay in contact, and or if you have any networking events that we can maybe attend to with you? Or I'd love to just keep in contact.
Okay, well, let's talk about that later. I'm happy to follow up with you.
Awesome. Okay, perfect.
Thanks. So the other thing we have coming up, again, as you know, we just did one in May. We're going to be doing again one in October. This is our community paper shredding event. So you're getting lots of advance warning. If you are like me and paper is your nemesis, we're going to provide a solution for you. We raise money for chats. We raised $1,000 for chats of York Region at our last event in May. So want to just give you the heads up on that. We're always looking for ways to give back to the community, support our client base, make it a win-win for everyone. Are there questions about the presentation today, about condos? Anything else? Okay, well, I must have sped through that because that was I'm 10 minutes ahead of schedule. Here I am online. Please feel free to reach out, connect with me, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Now I'm on TikTok. Oh my word.